All right. Good morning. Welcome everyone to the Williams County Board of Commissioners regularly scheduled monthly meeting. It's Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. It's 10:03 a.m. Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson,
Present.
Jim Marlowe,
Present.
Jim Razor.
Present.
At this time, I'd ask everybody to rise for second pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jim, would you do this in prayer?
Well,
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the blessings you provide us each and every day, especially this time of year. Reflect back, think about the birth of your son and what it means in our lives. Ask that you always be with our first responders that put themselves between us and harm. Be with our armed forces, the men and women stationed all over the world, keeping us safe as we live here in the greatest nation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right. Start off with the consent agenda. Gentlemen, do you have the opportunity to go through all these items?
yes.
Anything we need to pull out?
Any
questions or concerns?
went through it and it's good. It's good.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson,
Okay.
Jim Marlowe,
Yeah.
Jim Razor.
Okay.
Moving on down the agenda, down to Highway Department. George?
Yes,
You got a couple of things that would you like to explain to us this highway resolution?
yes. So via Illinois statute, we have to have to have a resolution to spend motor fuel tax money on motor fuel tax eligible items. So this is approximately $2 million being resolved that we can spend on maintenance items, but we don't necessarily have to. So as the need arises, we'll have oil and chip and many other materials that we use on a day in, day out basis. So that's what that's for, in addition to labor, equipment, and and a lot of materials.
Good.
Yes, sir.
We do this every year.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion to approve this resolution? So resolution number 24-12-10-147. Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson,
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe,
Yeah.
Jim Razor.
Yeah.
George, wasn't done with you. On this four subdivision, you and I had talked before the meeting. What would you like us to do on this? Resolution?
I don't know if you guys will take a look at this. And-
Yeah, sure, just.
Yeah. Okay. I have two subdivisions here that have been requested. Subdivided lots. This is the more subdivision here. This is the 1 5-acre property here. The main house is here. She's wanting to subdivide it to her 3 children. County maintenance comes right here. She's wanting that to remain. So no county maintenance in here. They have the frontage to get the meat policy. So really, we're just talking about access to these lots right here, which they'll have this 40 feet.
But it would be a private drive,
It would be a private.
not a county road.
No,
So you're going to send maintenance or upkeep?
and we could if they built a tower spec. I have a feeling they don't want to do that. Victor shot this together, and he said that this is the way they would like to do it.
Is it a permanent easement?
You know, it will be an access utility easement. It will be a.
Because if not, I don't know, the assessor's office will approve it because it's gonna be a potential landlocked.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, we definitely.
Do we need to find that out then?
You want to confirm that.
Yes.
We want to see the paperwork that indicates that that is a.
Well, George, why don't you do that for us and
Yes,
bring us,
sir.
bring this back to us?
It is at least noted on there.
It is.
Exactly.
So you could approve it subject to the deeding indicating that there is a permanent easement. And all of these preliminary drawings are what they are, but there's not any paperwork filed. So we just need to make sure that that easement exists on all those parcels.
It's up to you two guys.
Why don't we, let him take these, talk to
Josh.
and then we can go on, if he gets the okay, come on back. Finish it up.
Can you get that done today, you think?
If Josh is in.
Here comes.
Doing it the other one.
Yeah, looks like you're doing
This one's back on 180 north of Herringbone Road. So, or, no, that was back on, sorry.
Yeah, this is on
okay.
Campbell.
So 166 is over here. This is north of me. This is Violet Road and Toon Road. So this is a lot right here, but this gentleman is just only 75 acre, a 1 acre piece of his lot. So he has the frontage. I haven't had a chance to talk to the individual about this 25 foot that will be in the back of this guy's lot. I don't know exactly what's going on here.
That doesn't, I mean, this one, I don't even understand why if this has access. Right. Then I don't even know why it's an issue for us to.
Right.
Why are you being asked anything about it?
Right.
Well, he has access, but he would still need the county's permission to subdivide less than 5 acres.
That's plat act.
It's a plat act issue.
So
This one currently is just 2 acres.
Currently, it's just 2 acres. Yeah.
No, it would be 3, because you've got two
No.
on one lot, two on one of the
So
other.
3 acres.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
you're
sorry,
right.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, I think we were thinking the same thing indirectly.
This was just an odd way to my.
Very odd, very odd.
We've got to have a reason.
Well, but from a legal standpoint, it doesn't matter what the reason is.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not it's gonna meet.
Yeah.
Compliance. I don't think you have a problem giving them access to the road there.
No.
That's where you come into play is how many egresses are there along that road. So that's not an issue. What he does with the 25 feet in the back is between him and whoever's.
Yeah, if you don't like it, you don't buy it.
So
We can approve that.
we can approve this one. Right. Give us the information done.
Absolutely. Perfect. That.
We can vote at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you.
The second one is the silver.
Yeah. Yeah, the first one was Moore's resolution.
George, while you're still here before you go, what about the other subdivision that we talked about?
So, yes. So the subdivision Country Meadows Estates, south of Spillertown. We have actually been out there and we took a stinger out there on a skid steer and just poked the pavement to see the thickness of the the thickness of the aggregate. We don't think we have 8 inches of aggregate. So is what we're gonna do, we're gonna bring a motor drill and get a core and do it correctly. And that way we'll know for sure that the pavement structure is okay. The rest of the structure, the rest of the subdivision looked really promising. But with a little bit more investigation, and we'll know quite a bit more. We're gonna do that this next week. Yeah.
Back and approve this one.
We'll do the vote whenever he gets in, and we'll get that from Josh. And the old business, the DevNet contract, that has been sent to them, right? Have we heard anything from them, Ashley?
Yeah, I spoke with Scott this morning. They're reviewing it. There's an issue with the reference of the in quotes tax bills, because they said there's a different format for and file presentation for in-house printers as compared to third-party printers. So they're trying to figure out if we're an in-house printer, so they need to see if they need to amend that language, and they hope to have something to us this week. I don't know we'll have to see what the language.
My guess is that the in-house would be more favorable to them than dealing with a third party that says it has to be in this format.
I would think so too. We've discussed that with them about how we print ours, and it's the same PDF format as what the third party uses. So I don't know if there's really a variation, but they said they were discussing that this afternoon, and hope to have something to explain.
So no action from us today. About the other two, countywide assessment and the accounting payroll software.
I don't know anything with the payroll software. As soon as I get balanced out and we close out this year, which should be this week, then I can focus on that. But I've got to we've had a lot of moving parts this year, so I need to make sure.
I've not heard anything from Josh or Jeff in regards to the county-wide reassessment.
Okay. So let's keep those on the agenda.
I'll stop in and check with them today as well to see where that's at. But yes, please keep that on the agenda.
Okay, Brett, did you have an opportunity to talk to Tom Malkovich, the red building across the street?
It's in our court as to what we want to do.
Okay. We need to have a meeting with them, decide.
The board needs to decide how they wish to proceed.
Well, I don't, for me, that hasn't changed. We need to take possession of the building and then get an RFP for environmental study, see if we can tear it down. Is that? Agree? Okay. Okay. All right, will you reach out to them? I will, and see if we can set up a meeting either this week or next week? Yep. Okay, perfect. Anybody have anything else for old business? Okay, down to new business. Chairman of the board selection. Gentlemen, what's your thoughts on that?
Happy where we are, quite honestly.
Okay, that's fine with me. Thank you.
Motion, I guess we need to vote on that. Make a motion that we approve Tim Atkinson as chairman of the board for the 2025.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson,
Abstain?
Jim Marlowe,
Okay,
Jim Morrison.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your call. Mayor Networks, I see a couple Mayor Network guys here. Yeah.
So, yeah, one of the first things I want to ask about,
Brian, could you come up with closer, please? Thank you.
we had submitted some information in regards to backup internet services. We recommend PTVA.
You don't have it? Copy it. Yeah.
We go through. Please. So yeah, we are we're looking at the 250 meg services on there. We got PTVA and Frontier both on here. Cost wise, PTVA seems to have definitely have the better pricing on it in comparison. be a backup line for our main service through it.
That'd be the only cost is, it'd be a one-time $500 equipment charge, activation fee, and then that's a capital expense. It would be equipment in that second line item, the $500 line item.
That's just the activation and actual equipment that they were putting in for it. So, yeah, it'd be small in there. They don't have any additional monthly fees on there.
So it's included as a lease item at that point, not purchase money.
Yes. Same with their ownership.
What is it? I don't see a contract term on this. Is that for a year? Is it for 2 years, 5 years? I believe it was 36 months. 36 months? Is that for both of them?
This is, if we had an outage on our main line, to maintain full phone operations and critical network operations. What speed or what bandwidth you're
Brian, where are we at currently?
We are at, I think we also looked at it. No, we're 500. Yeah, we're 500 currently. Which, yeah, the second page is the one that would be equal to that to get the same measure that way, the same consistency bandwidth wise. So that'd be the one we'd recommend off of it. That way it doesn't have to be a little slower than what it would be if you go with the 250. Price difference on there is nice. So definitely much better cost value. Plus, yeah, 36 months plus one for the Frontier. Contiva is rotated on here. But I can get that and make sure it's actually at 36 months or not, for sure.
Sure. Yeah, we need to, sure you verify that. It's 36 months, with that price over for 36 months. Jim, what's your opinion on this?
I think to maintain mission critical services and backup makes a lot of sense. I don't think we're talking about an enormous amount of money here. The debate going on in my head right now is between the 500 and 250. If the 500 effectively works as just a switch over, end users wouldn't notice the difference, but if we wanted to save some money, it's going to be fairly rare that we're going to have to go to this in the first place.
Yeah.
And if we know that it's going on, we can make adjustments in what's being done to conserve some bandwidth. So if we want to save money, I would still be comfortable with the 250. We feel like we have the budget room for it. The 500 just gives us a backup so that it would take a pretty serious outage for us to lose. And the fact that we are, the IP-based phone system, in addition to anything else that would be critical to it. But for us to keep phones working, we need that internet connection. And when you're only on one line, you're going to have interruptions. It just happens.
Do we know, have we had an interruption of service since we've had you guys?
Yeah, we've had a couple instances over the past year and a half. Different occasions on that, other than going down. I think the longest one weekend, like Friday is when we're down. Caused us outage until late Monday. Bigger ones. The other ones were a little bit more minor and lasted a few hours. I think outside that, we did have 3 of those just come directly.
Gentlemen, I'll let one of you make a motion if you want to accept this.
Do we want to hold off on the term on the Futiva?
That's what I want to do. I'm gonna hold on until I know, exactly what the term is. So that's the only hiccup that I have.
Would I be able to read this, see if I can make a call after we're done with this moment? And,
Yeah, sure, you can call and find out now. Okay, what kind of term would you guys like? Is that, I don't know if that's something specified to them.
We can always ask if you want to do something. Yeah. We might be able to definitely ask for 3 months, 3 years, that's typical. We can try asking for 5 and do something longer. I can ask if they can give us a price on both.
What's the increase on broadband pricing right now? Is it going up? Is it going down? There was a period where it was down.
Well, yeah, I think once Futiva and other, some, companies come in the market, fiber prices, they go up based off of that. They kept theirs up definitely more than others. Plus, Sparklight's really hitting our territory in general here too, so, so we had a couple that's been able to come in and actually under Markle Clear is actually.
The issue there is we locked ourselves in for 5 years and rates went down. So I don't want to go too long on that.
Yeah,
For budgeting, it would be nice to get at least 2 years out of this, if not 3, in my mind.
Do they have a more complete agreement? This has no termination clause, no
Correct.
guarantee of service,
This is
no.
just a quote of the cost, so we will get a full agreement for you guys.
Okay, well, then we'll just repeat it.
we'll wait till, yeah, can
Would
you
you
give
prefer 36 months? Because that's where I was thinking.
6 is fine.
36 months is fine?
Yeah, I believe that's reasonable. Okay.
We'll get that revised and sent over to you.
Okay. Make sure they have all the opt-out clauses and all that. We'll see all that.
We want to make a decision so they just write one on which amount of data we want here, 250 or 500.
The cost difference.
$80.
That would be about $1,000 a year, right? Yeah.
The 500.
Sounds good. I think the only other business we had specifically today was with the email correspondence regarding audit. James had some, I believe that was on the agenda. The network monitoring.
On your other than just.
If you don't have that, then I'll resend it, so you guys have it, you can get it on the next agenda.
Okay,
Now, I'd like you to review it first.
Yeah.
if you can send that to us.
Absolutely.
And one question back to you.
Sure.
We appreciate having the new website up and running,
Yes.
but our staff still does not have access to that.
Okay.
We can't put on
As far as making changes and agendas.
or
Okay.
any kind of editing at all.
Okay.
We've reached out a couple of times and have not heard back.
Perfect. Brian, we put it on. We'll make sure you guys have it.
Thank you.
I want to point out though, on the Frontier contract, under item 6, they do have an escalator clause on there of 9.5%, not to exceed each year of the 3-year term. So despite the fact that they indicate it's a 36-month contract, they have a
Escalation.
potential increase built into their contract. So just, I know you're not making the decision today, but keep that in mind when you're looking at this.
Okay, anything else on that? All right, let's move on.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. So, mental health board request. Michelle?
Yes. I spoke to you a couple of months ago, maybe, about the opioid settlement funds, as well as the cannabis tax funds. And I know there was a lot of discussion, we had a lot of good questions, and I was able to kind of explain to you what the 708 Mental Health Board is all about and what we do. So since then, I have met with the state's attorney, and we are in agreement. Commissioner Marlowe was also in the meeting, and he is in agreement with us that these funds need to be distributed to the community, and the 708 Board would be the perfect mechanism to do that, because that is exactly what the 708 Board is set up to do. We recently put out the RFP for our tax funds for this year, and we received 13 different requests. And to give you an idea of the letter, the requested total was $785,000. We were able to fund $325,000 of that. So that kind of shows you what the need is out in the community. Also, I have had some conversations and several meetings with both the, it's the 708 mental health, I can't remember the exact acronym, but anyway, they kind of oversee all the 708 boards, them and the Madison County 708 Board, and they have done this. They have worked together with the state's attorney's office. They have taken the money and funneled it through the 708 Board, so it's being vetted correctly and being dispersed as it should be. It's been very successful. Again, they work very closely with the state's attorney to do that. And they have come up with some really, really great new innovative programs that are really doing some amazing things in their community. And to give you a couple of examples of that, one, they have mental health services now in their emergency department at the hospital, major hospital. I have spoken with Deaconess about that. They would love to do something like that. That is something that would be super beneficial, not only for the hospital, but for the citizens. When somebody comes in presenting with a heart attack, they need to be seen quickly. Many of the people that come into the ED are coming in presenting with either mental health or substance use disorder issues. So that way they can immediately be assessed and get the services that they need, rather, than keeping people that are having physical health issues from getting the services they need in the ED. So that's a big issue, and that would be something that we could look at utilizing the opioid settlement funds. Another example of what they've done, they actually have created within their jail system a substance use disorder program. And that has been so successful that they have even added medicine assisted treatment. So they have a physician that can disperse medications that will help them when they are coming down off the drugs, and then also staying on the drugs, like Suboxone and some other things like that. I'm looking at Tim and he's going, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So these are really, really neat programs, and those are programs that our social services groups don't have the money to do expansions on or to create, because they're just trying to stay afloat with their current staffing and their current number of patients that they're seeing. So this is such a great opportunity for us to be able to get out into the community and be able to do some expansion. I know that one of our biggest issues right now is the homeless population. And, we've had requests from Coalition for the Homeless. They're looking at expanding by getting a bigger building so that they can serve more people. Those types of things are exactly what the settlement funds could be utilized for. And then that would also give us the opportunity for us to continue to fund the people that we are funding now with current operations and more of our long-standing organizations that we have been funding through the 708 Board. So, these are things that we want to be able to help with, just get started or to expand, get programs that are needed going. And that's, we're looking at $500,000 or over $500,000 actually. I think it's like $506,000 in the opioid settlement funds currently. And those funds are going to continue to come in for probably the next 20 years. All right, so it's kind of, a win-win situation if we can all work together on this, because it shows that the county is looking out and dispersing funds into the community that are going to help the community because that's what they're designed to do. And it's also a win for the community because we're going to be able to expand and help more people. The other funds, which would be the cannabis tax funds, I think we have about $130,000, maybe Ashley, something around that amount. And it's kind of just been sitting in an account as well. And what really caught my attention was I was at an Elks meeting about a month ago and we got some communication from Chief Fitz, and they were looking for funding for their safety program. And, for students. So they're asking for different businesses to give $69 or $125 to be able to go out and initiate these programs, which many of them are drug-related programs that our police officers are going out to the schools and doing. The marijuana funds are specifically for crime prevention and education. And so those have to be used for programs, just like what Chief Fitz is out trying to obtain funds to do. So again, that's $130,000 that could be going into all of the Williamson County schools through the police departments or other social services and can be used for what it's intended to be used for. So what I'm asking for is that the Williamson County Commissioners sign off on allowing those funds to be able to be distributed through the Williamson County 708 Board. And we would certainly make sure that our state's attorney would sign off on that as well. I will speak to him about that personally, as I already have in his office when we met not too long ago. And I think that getting this done sooner rather than later, we would start really reaping some benefits from these funds that are coming in. And Ashley, I know Ashley would probably be okay with us dispersing the funds rather than that having to be done through his office. We are also looking at a mechanism, as a reporting mechanism that Madison County is utilizing so that all of the reports from the people that are getting these funds can upload and we can make sure that they're using the funds like they're supposed to be using them. So right now we're monitoring that, utilizing a contractual person that is pretty much a professional grant writer. She will continue to work with us on this initiative, but this would just be a more electronic way that we could stay on top of it and make sure that everybody is getting the reports in and we can be constantly monitoring it.
I agree, those funds need to be spent. However, I do have a concern, and I don't know about you guys. I have a concern about the commingling of funds. And in my opinion, those funds need to stay here and Ashley needs to be the custodian of those funds. And then once you guys find some place to spend the money, then as we have done with ARPA funds, send that money directly to. I wouldn't have to worry about commingling, any of that. I had a conversation with Ted also. And are you guys going to be granting these funds similar to how we did ARPA? Is that what you're going to do? Okay, so the grant agreement has got to be updated. And I would request that the state's attorney's office approve that grant fund, because eventually if something goes wrong, he'll be the one that has to go out and sue people to get money back.
Ted sent me an email and copied Michelle on yesterday. And I responded with that very claim. I said, would you be willing to meet with the 708 board, which we have a meeting set up tomorrow. He said he's willing to meet with us to educate the board. If there are some provisions that we need to modify, then we can modify it. We have it on our agenda. We can do it right then and there before we sign any new contracts. So we're well aware of working with Ted. We're steady, at least as Michelle said, we stay in close contact with Ted on this. So we're working together on this. Tim is one of the agencies that we're looking to provide funding for. Tim, if you would, why don't you give us a little update. As far as what you do, the type of work that you do, if you would stand on that holding next, just kind of
Thank you, I appreciate that. Tim Bueller is my name, and I'm the owner of Bueller Wellness Center. We are a community mental health agency in Williamson County, right over here in Marion, behind Marion Subaru. And we started our agency in April, and we kind of just started out with 4 therapists and about 150 clients that we were serving. And since April, we've hired another therapist, and we've added about 150 more clients. And so we're around 300 clients right now that we're serving in our county. And we're hiring another therapist in January. And so we'll be able to continue to add on because right now we have about 30 people on the waiting list to receive services from us. And so we're just kind of just pressing through and trying to help people with mental health. We really focus on trauma. We focus on families. Our new therapist that we hired back in April, he primarily works with children and their families, and we've seen a lot of success with his rate of helping families stay out of trouble. And so we're doing a lot of good work there. So a couple of statistics that I just wanted to share with you based on recent things that we've been looking at. Deacon has reported that the top 2 health concerns right now are substance and mental health, and so in Williamson County. And so they're keeping on top of that. The Illinois Department of Public Health indicates that 20% of Williamson County adults face mental health challenges. That's nearly 15,000 people who could benefit from services that just aren't. And here's the problem. 70% of those people are not getting services because there's just a waiting list everywhere you go. Like I just mentioned, we have 30 people on our waiting list. We get calls every day looking for somebody to provide services for them. And so approximately 25% of Williamson County residents are underinsured or uninsured. And so how do agencies like mine who are just starting out, how do we provide services for these people? They can't afford to have insurance, they can't afford to pay. We don't really want to turn them away. We have a big heart to help people. We're in the helping profession. So we end up giving a lot of our services away. And it's not just counseling because, as I mentioned, the waiting lists that everybody has, we do other services while people wait. It's kind of like going to a restaurant. Oh, it's an hour wait. You can sit over here at the bar and order some appetizers and some sodas and whatever, and it kind of gets you going. So we do neurofeedback, we do red light therapy, we do biomat treatments, which are all very, very much about wellness. And that's why we call our agency Wellness Center, not just counseling. So this is something that we do. 12% of our adult population admit to substance and addiction challenges. And so co-occurring conditions with mental health, with people that have addictions and substance addictions is 100%. There isn't anybody that has a mental health that has a substance issue that doesn't have mental health issue. That's just 100%. 50% of people with severe mental health issue also have co-occurring substance issues. And so we are really facing a crisis and we need more integrated services. We have a building that we rent from Brad Fager, and he is right over here in Marion, and he is, we have extra space available. We have been requesting funds and working toward outfitting another area that we can do work with Christy Richards, is it Richardson or Richards over at the probation? Richardson over at probation, just to be able to provide domestic violence groups and, just help them and maybe even some 12-step programs. We're really wanting to help people in Williamson County. So that's who we are. We're here. And so if there's any questions that you have, I'd be glad to answer. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think we all understand the need, just watching the news, we understand the need for mental health. So that's what the 7-week board is trying to do. This board has gone through a change a year or so ago, and this board is focused. It's a good working with, we want to make sure that we can help sponsor agencies the best that we can, like Tim's agency and others in the county. So that's where we're at. And it's a very good thing. Michelle knows the chair. So that's where we're at. And that's the request that Michelle has here. And I understand your concern. And, but Michelle and myself both want to reassure this board that we are working with Ted Hanson on this. Ted had a concern about our contracts. First, we had a conversation, communication, that we're going to see what needs to be changed and modify it. And if we need to do it at our meeting tomorrow, we'll do it tomorrow. So.
Right, and a couple of other things to note. You know, everything that we're utilizing has come from either other 708 boards or from the health association. So these are forms and applications and rubrics and everything that have already been vetted by other legal folks. Not to say that we can't tweak them and change them because we've already found that we're going to, but it's not something that we just came up with. You know, so I do feel very confident in the fact that, you know, multiple agencies are utilizing the same process, you know, and we do have a very competent, very, very knowledgeable board. We have people that have been in social services. We have one who's an attorney, so he's not the attorney for our board, but he, you know, he constantly has, you know, how the attorneys are, they always have to question everything. So he's been.
Oh, just wait.
Yeah, I know.
We haven't got
But
started yet.
but, you know, he's been very helpful in that respect. That, you know, we've got a banker, we've got a very wide variety of folks that, somebody that's a superintendent of schools. So very knowledgeable, you know, group of folks. But again, you know, that mechanism for that board has been in place since 1968, you know, and it was voted in through a referendum by the taxpayers. But we want to be able to utilize that unit of the Williamson County government to be able to make sure that these funds are getting where they need to go.
Thank you, Brett.
It's not that we want more work,
Actually,
okay?
just a second, actually,
Well,
I think Rick's got.
I'll let Brad talk, because I think I'm going to ask some of the same questions, Rick.
So I've had conversation with the state's attorney's office as well in regards to this. One of the concerns, and I guess it's a question as to how we're trying to set this up, that the board and the state's attorney are the responsible parties for the funds. If you allocate those funds to another entity, you're still responsible for that entity and how they utilize those funds. So much like you did with ARPA, I think the better process would be allow them to vet the individuals, but then the award actually is signed off on by the board.
Right.
And it's our contract. I understand you say you've got contracts from other places, but I was advised that you have an entity that took money, that you guys have no contract to be able to go back after them for the money. So I don't know where that contract came from, but if it's from the same pool that you're looking at these contracts, I don't have any interest in it. So I think what we're trying to do is proper with the funds.
Sure.
I just think it's an authority element that has liability associated with it, that I would never put the board members at the, I guess, at the peril of the 708 board. And nothing against you, but we have to protect it not only from just you, but any future board as well. And so if the 708 can vet the different programs that need the funds and then come to the board and say, we've talked about this, here's this entity, we would like to distribute, or we would like you to distribute funds to that entity for this program, then the board can issue the contract and we still have the control of it. We don't end up with commingling of funds. We end up with a contract the board is confident has the ability to claw back the money if they're not doing it. I just think that's the better element, because there are regulations, as you mentioned, there's regulations for the cannabis fund that it has to be used for certain purposes. There's regulations on the opioid funds that they have to be used for certain purposes. And I don't know why it makes a difference if the 708 board says, hey, we're giving you these funds versus we've assisted them in getting these funds. I think it's one and the same.
If I could say something here to give a little historical, I agree with you 100%. But to give a little historical, the 708 board did contract with a firm in Carbondale and they did look at our contracts before we issued these contracts. So we did have an attorney that we contracted. He had since started getting some of the clients that we fund, so there was a conflict there. So we let that attorney go. Then in the meantime, Mr. Hampson stated that he's our attorney.
Correct.
Okay, so he never let us know ahead of time. I'm just giving you a little history.
No, I understand you. What I'm talking about is there's an entity that took funds that then just basically disappeared.
No, I
And I don't know where that contract came from. So it's one of those things like you can go and you can get a will out of a box or on the internet. But at the end of the day, if that will isn't proper and you die, who you suing?
I got, but the only thing I want to let you know and this board know is that we didn't just willy-nilly this contract. We ran it by an attorney.
Not intended.
We had, I understand, and we had his approval on it. So that's where we were.
Right.
So we had an attorney again, that's all. I'm trying to say.
No, not intended to.
Yeah.
As I indicated, I just think it's better
And
that the board's council looks at things as opposed to 708 issue.
you know, and I've told Michelle, and I've told others, I'm in favor of however, whatever it takes to get from point A, funds from point A to point B. That's all my concern is.
Absolutely, as
We
long
have
as
a need
we
here
have
and
a
we have other
process
needs.
and we can get the funds out to the folks and it's not gonna be a long drawn out, I mean, we just wanna make sure that, once we advocate for the funds to get to the people, that it actually gets to the people. So we don't need some long drawn out, like crazy process to do this. If we can just simply turn it over to you guys and you guys take care of it, that's fine. I don't care. I mean, it's less work for us,
So,
right? We're not, I'm not getting a big raise or
It's not about the
anything.
work as much as it is about the liability.
Yes,
No.
that's what.
And right, and I totally understand that.
and I think we're all good.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're fine with that.
I just know that was Ted's big concern, was liability, because it's his name, it's the board members' names that then we're giving to a third party.
Yes, yes. And the third party, that was like a crazy deal. And when it was our first time doing this, again, it was vetted by an attorney. But our biggest probably obstacle that we've now learned from was we disseminated the funds at one time rather than quarterly. That we did not have the means to do it quarterly. We didn't have we didn't have the staffing, or now we've got people in place that are helping, like Stephanie and our grant writer and things like that. But we just did not have a way to spread it out into quarterly payments. We were only meeting one time.
We do have.
Yes.
So Brett, when you talk to Ted.
Yeah.
Did he want to draw up that agreement? Was that something that we need to do
As far as what agreement?
the grant agreement that we're going to send these monies through to the end user?
It'll be a board issued,
So we're gonna have to draw that up.
yeah, it'll be a board issued document, and it'll vary based upon the entity that's receiving the funds.
And what I can do is I can send you this is a completely separate contract than what we have for the 708 board funds. Because it's specific to the opioid settlement fund. So if you would like, I can send you what they gave to us, and that way it gives you something to go on. You can go through and strike through things you don't like, you can add some meat to it, whatever you want to do, but at least give you something to start with, rather than starting from scratch.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any issue with that. I just think the board's legal has to go through it. Between Ted and myself, we'll make sure you guys are protected. And it's him as well. I mean,
He has to sign it.
he's also on this, so
He
that's.
has to sign it at the end of that. I think this board is on there also. So let's make sure we get it right.
Okay.
So
Any
good.
other questions? So what's the next, so I'll send you that, and then when will you guys?
Do you have anybody vetted right now?
For those funds?
Yeah.
No, we have not put in our, I mean, we haven't put an RFP out for that. We just know that we had, a request for $785,000 and we could only fulfill
Because the
$25,000.
money that we receive comes from the county levy.
Right,
Thank you.
which we don't even have yet. So I'm gonna go help out with that here in a minute when I go pay my real estate taxes.
And Ted, like I said, Ted will be at our meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Jim, you have?
I don't know. They did, sounds like this is going to stay on an agenda, but
It's not,
actually.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. All right, gentlemen, we have some, the final minute fiscal year ending November 30th, 2024. Did you guys have the opportunity to go through these? Yes. This is what we had posted a few weeks ago. Any comments or concerns about these? Jimmy, you good with these? Good. Okay, you need to approve these one at a time. If someone would like to make the motions.
Make a motion that we approve the 23-24 final amended employee health.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yay.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Racer.
Like, make a motion we approve the 2023-2024 final amended general fund reserve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yay.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Racer.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion we approve the 2023-2024 final amended jail debt service fund.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yay.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Racer.
I'd like to make a motion we approve the 2023-2024 final amended retiree health insurance fund.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yay.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Racer.
Thank you, Jim. Commissioner Razor, we have the Energy Transition Community Grant Program.
No action today. I did want to pass along, I sat through a meeting a couple of weeks ago. Some, I guess, was a reminder for me, some felt like new information on this program, that there was a defined term on this that I was unaware of. That this is available for us for 4 motorcycles that we know. There's a possibility beyond that, but we know for sure 4. And also what the grant can be used for. We had set this money up hopefully to bring in a grant writer is what we did originally with it. Looking at the list of what this can be used for. And also what I learned that you can apply for more than one use on one application.
Oh, that's
So we could apply, once again, for the grant writer position to fund that. But anything else on this list, we can add to that, and we don't have to do individual applications for each one. So all I wanted to do today was put this in front of this board so that we can all go back individually, review this, and think of projects that are out there that we may want to add to that request. The numbers they're talking, that they're not using the money as quickly as they thought they would. It's maybe a little far to go to say if you ask for it, you will get it. But it sounded like we can get considerably more than what we applied for the first time around. And knowing that there's 4 more years of this, we can think about a project that maybe we can spread out over a few years and take care of. So again, just I wanted to provide a little information. Some of it was new to me. I want to make sure we were all on the same page, and would really like to see us utilize as much of this money as we can get our hands on.
I agree. Then that was new information to me. You know, use it for multiple things without having to apply differently. I will say this, the Greater Egypt has made, they would like to see some of that money coming in away from grant purposes for us, they write grants for us, which maybe that's something we want to do. We can bring Karen back in here and let him talk to us.
And in my mind, that we can apply for that and other things. It makes it a whole lot easier to say, yeah, I mean, let's get as much of this money back into Williamson County as we can. It's kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Keith, for that update. Anything else on that? Okay, moving on down, Hope Trust Board Member. We'd originally, we're going to put somebody on that board. Right after we went into the Hope Trust, Ted had a concern, he says, no longer has that concern about that position. I talked to him this week and has encouraged us to go ahead and name a board member to that board. What's your thoughts? You have any thoughts on that?
Thought that we should have one of our board members on that board
Mm-hmm.
all along.
Right. Well, I would like to be on that board. They've asked me to serve on that board, but we need to have board approval for that. So if one of you would rather sit on the board, that's fine. But, we need to choose somebody.
What else? I think maybe alter it. Yeah, if you want to take first year, you should.
I would ask that it be for 2 years. There's a lot to learn on that board. And I don't think you'd be effective just 1 year at a time.
Thoughts?
Did you make a motion?
Oh, I made a motion to put Tim on there for, and I said to alter it every other year. But if you wanted to, make it for a 2-year cycle as well. So, this is what
I still have a small concern that's just a simple conflict of interest on this. But with that said, I also trust Commissioner Atkinson, Chairman Atkinson, to honor that and know why he's on that board. So I don't have a problem with a 2-year appointment.
All right. We need to vote on that.
Yeah, you need a motion. Well,
Yeah.
I guess is Commissioner Marlin willing to amend his motion to 2-year?
Yes, amend mine to a 2-year.
Then we have the second, and then you can vote.
I will second that motion.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson,
Abstain?
Jim Marlin, Jim Rice.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on down, we have a few animal control and government agreements between Williamson County and some of the villages in the county. I'll make these motions. Make a motion we accept the animal control intergovernmental agreement between Williamson County and the village of Stoneport. That's, roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlin.
Yeah.
Jim Rice.
Yeah.
Once again, this is something we do every year, so. All right, I make a motion that we accept the intergovernmental agreement between, or approve the intergovernmental agreement between Williamson County and the village of Cole.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlin.
Yeah.
Jim Rice.
And then the last one, motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between Williamson County and the village of Bush.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlin.
Yeah.
Jim Rice.
Yeah.
Okay, this next one, guys, we need to have just a bit of a discussion on this. Stephanie, could you, what was your concern about this the other
I
day?
spoke with Brett about it this morning. The gentleman that came in was saying that the license that he has through the state for the pull tabs covered the Queen of Hearts. And he didn't think that he needed to have the Queen of Hearts to the county, so I spoke to him about that, and that's not how that works. He will have to have one.
The pull tabs is actually a separate entity by the state that regulates that. So it doesn't need our permission to have pull tabs.
Right.
But the
Queen of
Queen of
Hearts
Hearts and those others, he does need.
absolutely has to have our approval of that. Okay. So I just wanted that for the record. Again. Does that cover that for you, Stephanie? Okay, great. All right. I make a motion that we, did you look at this, Rhett, before I finish my motion? Does everything look right to you?
Brett, should we strike the pull tabs reference on?
Yes. Because we're not granting the pull tab license. We don't have the authority to grant that.
Okay. Do we need to strike that before we approve this?
That would be my recommendation.
Do we need to have a?
No, just approve the license application with striking of the pull tabs in both sections.
Okay. That would be the motion, Stephanie.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any conversation? Roll call.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Racer.
The next item on the agenda is the Simple Reserve Fund. And for many years, Williamson County has been part of the Simple organization. And last year, they lost the metropolitan planning designation. The state changed that. And so because of that, they ended up with a little bit of money left over. And the county's portion of that money that we had paid to Simple was $1,587.88. And Greater Egypt is asking what we would like done with that money. And I'll tell you this, that they had asked me if the county would think about leading those funds in with Greater Egypt so that they could use those for something else. But Brett, I had a question about that. I don't know if we can do that. Even though it's only $1,500.
I don't know why you would.
I don't know.
My thought.
The funds were designated for a specific purpose,
That's-
which it no longer exists,
Yes,
and those funds not used have to be accounted for in return.
That's exactly.
okay. Do we need to vote on that, or do I just need to get a hold of them, Brad? Be legal on this.
No, there's no legal on it.
Okay.
We just want them returned.
I will inform Greater Egypt that we'd like the fund returned. Staying with Greater Egypt. On committee, next item down on the engineering committee and board appointments. We have a term that Travis had filled, and now George is in that position. And his term is up at the end of December. And I assume, George, you still want to be on that committee? So I would assume that we would continue George on that committee. So I make a motion that we accept resolution number 24-12-10-144, which would put George back onto the Regional Planning and Development Commission Board for the next 3 years, that term expiring December 31st, 2027. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any conversation or concerns? Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Racer.
Well, we have the Simpo with the Greater Egypt in front of us. We have a vacancy. And I've asked Josh Smith, the assessor, if he would mind sitting on that. And he agreed to it. I didn't put it on this one until I asked you guys if there's something else that you'd like us to look at. I think that's probably a good position for Scott, for Josh to be in. Okay.
Put them on different.
I'm gonna have to put him on a different agenda, right, but I just wanted to tell you what I was thinking about on that. So I'll have that on the next agenda. Stephanie, could you please note that for the next agenda?
Yes.
Thank you. The next thing on the committee and board appointments. We have a position that's coming up in the ETSB. And the sheriff reached out to me and made a very good case that he should be on that ETSB board. And I'll tell you that the chairman of what is VJ's position there? He's not chair, he's the administrator. He had sent a letter over asking us to continue on with Jason Sheridan. But we have limited number of spots on that committee, on that board. And I believe it's probably wise to put the leading law enforcement officer in the county on that board. So I brought this resolution to you today because of that. And this term would start January 1st, 2025, and it would go until December 31st, 2028. Or if Jeff were to leave office, then we'd have to appoint somebody else. But this is the motion. Is there any comment, questions? All right, I make a motion that we accept resolution number 24-12-10-145. That would be a board appointment for Sheriff Jeff Diedrich onto the Williamson County Joint Emergency Telephone System Board. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Rice.
Jay.
Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on down, I have water board appointment. I talked to the board chair down at Lakeside Water District. They have a long-serving person on their board. They've asked us to reappoint this person. And I think this person is a good fit for that board. He's, like I said, he's been doing it for quite a few years. I'm gonna make a motion that we accept, or that we appoint Mr. Greg Herron to Lakeside Water District. I'm not sure how long that term is.
2029.
2029, okay, so that'd be a 5-year term. Is there a second?
Second on resolution number 24-12-10-146.
Thank you for reading that. I'm gonna let that out. Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yes.
Jim Ricer.
Is there any public comment today? Does anybody have anything they want to ask or talk about? Okay, hearing none, let's move on down to miscellaneous. We do have a travel reimbursement, but does anybody have anything for animal control? Okay. Travel reimbursement, I have travel reimbursement for Commissioner Marlowe. You went to the IACBM Board of Directors meeting. You are a board member, aren't you, Jim?
That's correct. I'm first vice chairman of that board. And during that meeting, we had a couple different discussions. One was on the discussion of the shortages of assessors in the state of Illinois. The main discussion was a discussion of shortages for township counties, because every township and form of government has to have their own assessor. And then they have to have one overall assessor. So if you have a county that may have 12 or more townships within it, that each one of those has to have an assessor. It's a big demand on the availability of assessors. So there was lots of discussion to be had on that. I know we just went through this ourselves. I'd like to see the state make some changes on this, actually, to help this become more of a lucrative field, to get more of a pool of people to draw from going into this field. It's a very stringent test that you have to take, certifying. It's not a job for everybody, and but the need is there for these different counties, as we found out ourselves, because we end up headhunting assessors from other counties, and all counties end up with each other. Second discussion we had was concerning the possible hazards stemming from the battery storage at solar farms, and we discussed this at our last board meeting. Brought that information back, gave it to our council. Council said that our green energy ordinance that we have is sufficient, but it does make everyone aware of that possibility of these battery storage battery fires. These lithium ion batteries are very difficult to put out. Burn for days, emitting all kinds of noxious fumes at the same time. So that's what we discussed at the meeting. That's what the meeting, our association meeting was about.
Sounds like you had a good meeting.
Yeah, we did. We had quite a few attend, and
It's
we get updates on upcoming legislation all the time. We have a lobbyist that comes and we discuss with him, and he goes back and ideas that we approve or disapprove certain upcoming legislation, and he takes that back to his.
So
Good. It's always good whenever the meetings that you go to are relevant.
It's informative, very
Yeah.
informative.
I've been to a few that aren't really relevant in our county. I appreciate that.
The Illinois Association of County Board Members also has a couple of different programs. One was a program they have contracted with John Deere. And it's a program where our counties are, have the opportunity to have great discounts on John Deere purchases. The list of equipment that we received discounts on, I gave to George to see if it would apply, if it would apply to him. I know on some of the very large tractors, there's up to a 25% discount. So it's talking some chunk change. And they also have a program, grant finder tool. The fee for that is already paid through our association. So all you have to do is sign up with, get the password, you log on to this. It's a tool that helps find all kinds of grants that are available for all counties. So they call it, of course, the grant finder tool. It's the name. So it's a good association.
All right, I make a motion that we accept the Williamson County travel reimbursement form for Commissioner Marlowe. It was 480 miles for $321.60, and then lodging, $123.20 for a total of $444.80. That's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson,
Good.
Jim Marlowe,
Abstain.
Jim Rising.
Yes.
Anybody have anything for ARPA? You do?
Yep. Well, I don't know if we need to discuss the report. First one, two funding requests, one's for the Village of Squirtown. This is estimate number 3 for James Owens Incorporated and Farley Engineering. The total invoice was $54,205.66, but there's only $19,688.50 left on their funding agreement, so the village is paying the difference of $34,517.60. Not a fully
Things that went out.
finish that project. Next one's Heron House of Hope, reimbursement for their Sam's Club purchases for the month of November. This is the same thing. They have approximately $3,536.59 in receipts, but there's only $881.74 left in their $75,000 award, so that will finish them out also. And they made excellent use of those monies.
You said a lot of people.
They did.
Yeah.
And then I want to, I guess, bring the board up to speed. 12/31/24 is the last day to obligate funds. Whenever we originally went through this, everyone thought obligation meant that we just had to say we were going to use them and not have actual contracts or invoices or funds expended. And, well, basically 2.5 or 3 weeks ago, we got a notice from the Treasury that says that the obligation means that you have to have contracts in place, invoices, or funds already spent. So I've sent an email to Commissioner Atkinson, also to Rhett and to Kim in regards to an ordinance that is going through some of the counties, looking and doing a retroactive payments of various activities, I guess, or everything you can think of. They reference payroll. My concern with payroll is that not everybody was an essential worker. There's a lot of other ancillary things that go with that. I've analyzed the capital improvements budget, or actually expenditures from 21 all the way up through to 12/31/24. There's probably $3.5 million worth of expenses that we paid for election equipment, computer upgrades, software, various public safety pieces of equipment with vehicles, laptops,
So the
body
question,
cameras. The question is do we need to do an ordinance prior to 12/31 with a list of all of these purchases and taking this, up to $10 million general allowance that's allowed through the trade? I don't know on the back end if that means that when we pick the 10 million, then all of a sudden I have to change everything and lump all the $10 million worth of projects with ours plus what we already agreed to, or if we had to just do the difference. That part I'll figure out later.
so what do we have? The way I understand it is, if you had gone through a process allocating under ARPA funds,
Mhm.
and then you had leftovers that you said we're gonna use it as lost revenue, that the extra that you deemed lost revenue would have to be accounted for in some form or fashion, which is the reason that they've come up with this, well, we'll create a resolution or an ordinance that formally memorializes the reimbursement into the general fund from the ARPA funds for those expenditures is how I see it playing out. So I think you do need to have some formal documentation. It is simply a shell game, but it is the way the rules are set up.
You think an ordinance will cover that then?
Yeah, I think an ordinance or resolution, however you want to handle it. But you need to determine or tell Ashley what you want included in that. So Ashley's saying is there are some gray areas such as payroll for 22, 23 amounting to however $1 million. Some entities are using all of payroll as opposed to law enforcement or, essential service workers, those types of things. If you have enough expenditures that you can qualify, then those are the easiest ones to say, these are what we're doing. But my other follow-up question, I guess, to Ashley and Kim is, what does that do from a budget standpoint when you're taking funds that were non-budgeted funds and now placing them back into a budget?
Well, so the capital improvement is a trust. It's technically not in the general fund. So that we would be fully funding or reimbursing the capital improvement trust. Those funds are written over from the general fund into that trust. So there's already been a mechanism to move the money from the general fund into that. So they would have already been allocated and recognized in some budget over the last 3 years.
But what are you doing with the funds that went from the general to that trust, or are you just gonna have the surplus in the trust?
The intent would be to have surplus in the trust, so not moving the money back into the general fund because
But you understand what I'm saying, is that's the movements that you guys have to make sure.
which that has to pass the audit. I mean, that's why I brought Kim in with that, because we need to make sure that she follows and can recommend to the commissioners that, yes, this will pass either my single audit or, pass the general audit, information.
Right.
So, but obviously this has to be done in the next 2 weeks. So that's why I wanted to make you aware of it. I bring the other two commissioners in. I sent the email, I guess, yesterday, because I received it.
Yeah, and everybody's scrambling.
Yeah.
This is what's occurred. Other places are in probably worse shape than the county, because you guys had a formal process as well, as opposed to those that just had a $6 million or $5 million, ARPA award.
And they just
They just said, hey, we're able to take this as lost revenue. And that was the guidance. And why 2.5 years later, now they decide, well, this is the final rule. I think they've realized that people took it. And so now that's not what we intended.
Actually, there is a COVID DR grant through the sheriff's office for overtime expenditures and COVID-related equipment that they have on hand right now. I have a copy of that COVID DR request upstairs.
Unfortunately, other than the essential worker pay that we paid out to everyone, what I'm referencing, these are all like actual equipment purchases. This is
I
not-
understand,
so
but there's
that's my
there's
recommendation.
laptops, printers, there's all kinds of things that were purchased underneath that DR.
Oh, really?
So what I'm saying is I don't wanna get us caught in a double dipping where they put it on that DR and they got grant funds for COVID, and then we're gonna claim it also.
But I would have seen, I'm assuming those funds would have come through me. I haven't seen-
I'll send you a copy of
Yeah,
that,
I'll-
just so we can just verify. Yeah, those are PA, the public assistance dollars.
The other thing, budgeting wise, just Wednesday, which is tomorrow, is the final day in which you can remit invoices that have to be 11:30 or prior to be able to be put into the actual 23-24 budgets. Since you guys have approved all of this stuff, I will now start making all the changes to the amended budget. We intend on closing out hopefully by Friday.
You say Friday.
Done. Yeah, and then, I am gonna have to have you guys, at the end of the year, we do a transfer from every department into the commissioner's contingency fund or whatever else to make everything. So I have to present that to you. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna I'm gonna present it, and assuming Brett said this is okay, make it retroactive to whatever the date of the final closeout. So that way, because I need to close out and we need to balance.
Yeah.
So if it's not gonna be until next week, I'll do it done this week and just make it retroactive to the 15th or something like that.
I don't think, yeah, you're right.
Okay, so, well,
All right, Ashley, thank you. All right, then, anybody have anything else for this meeting? I have one last thing I'd like to talk real quickly about. At first, I had a group in my office this week they were here about the solar farm that they wanted to build. It's a pretty good sized solar farm, and they're gonna have some pretty good sized storage on that solar farm as part of the project. And in our green energy permit, there's nothing in there. And Brad, I had a conversation with Brad about what that should be. And Brad, you had, I forget what it was that you found. It was a reference to some kind of federal standard. What was that?
So for the battery storage,
Yeah.
so we do mention that if they're applying for a permit, that they have to advise us that there's a battery storage element to it under our ordinance that was passed in 22. There are other county ordinances that have gone into a deeper extent, identifying residential structures within so many feet of the storage facility, berms, all of those elements as well, that I think you guys could do in your permitting process currently, if that's what you desire to do.
And I just need to know what you hear.
So I did a little research on this as well. They did find there are more and more, it seems like every year, defined standards by different organizations. And I found applications and ordinances, which are applications that you have to meet everything in our ordinance. So it seemed to me we need to adjust the ordinance and then we don't have to change the application. But one was by an international firefighters group, and that was on the standards that needed to be used. And then there's one from the Underwriters Laboratory, and it required that any of the equipment has already passed their standards. But it seemed to me as a layman and not a lawyer that we just need to add a couple of references to whatever standards we would choose, adding that to our ordinance, and then on the application, it just references that, and we would have a little more protection there.
So I was trying to pull up the ordinance, of course, the link is broken right now. But I know that the snippet that pulls is in our ordinance, we have, if the solar energy facility consists of batteries or storage of batteries, adequate design must be provided to ensure all local, state, and federal laws are followed. So we can stiffen that up if that's what we want to do as far as that ordinance, but we do have a spot contained within that original that anticipated battery storage. So
I'd say that we stick it up to whatever, including whatever,
Yes.
any little loophole or gray area that we think might be there.
Okay,
So we can do that. That's not a problem.
so I don't anticipate this group coming in and filing for a application until sometime in February or March. So I'll work with Brett and get that, I'll bring something back to you guys on that.
I'll dig through my research and
Appreciate it. If you've got things,
pertinent to you.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
can have a copy of that. If it's
Okay, does anybody have anything else? Brett, do we,
Where are we on these? On these today or?
let's put them on the next agenda.
Sounds good.
what did we find out on the one subdivision?
Did you find out anything about these? No. Okay. Stephanie, make sure this gets on the next agenda, please. Brett, do we need to go into close to talk about personnel?
I don't believe so.
Okay. All right, does anybody have anything else for us today? Hearing nothing, I make a motion to adjourn. Second? Second. Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson,
Good.
Jim Marlowe,
Okay.
Jim Rice.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I have their application, and I've already received it.
I got